Before the video starts, please subscribe for more mapping videos and everything else. Please enjoy the video. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing what if the United States have an empire, and you're like, hey, Travanator, didn't you already do this video before? And the answer to that question is fucking no, I didn't. I did not do this video before. I did an alternate history to where they had an empire, not if they made an empire today, in this very day. So, you know, of course, we're going to have the United States in red, anything attacking is blue, NATO, EU, UN doesn't exist, so let's get right into the video. So we have all of the United States colored here, and they are going to go after Cuba first, because they feel like Cuba's their main threat, and because they're just a missile hub, and yeah, basically just that. So they begin blockading Cuba, which I think they already have done for the past, like, 50 years. So after they make a landing from the west and then in the east, then a landing in Havana, cutting the country in two, we just have everything dying in Cuba. Oh, did I forget to mention the United States also destroyed all of the Caribbean? Ah, sorry about that. Speaking of sorry, we have Canada being declared war on now, and yeah, it's not gonna go good for Canada. I'm just gonna say that right now. Now, the USA makes a ballsy move here, and since Canada is relatively weak and Mexico is also relatively weak, they decide to, of course, invade both of them at the same time to make it, you know, faster, I guess. But they make their main forces across the St. Lawrence River, and, you know, take all of their cities, main cities. You know, they push down into Ontario and Toronto and all that area, which has like 50% of Canada's population, and then they just took New Brunswick with basically nothing stopping them. Then they make a second force, go and take Vancouver Island, and then the city of Vancouver, and then just stop there. And, you know, they just have a thing going along here. Meanwhile, for Mexico, it's a bit different. They follow the river, cutting Baja California from the rest of Mexico, and then swiftly take the entire peninsula. And meanwhile, they cross the Rio Grande. And using their newly acquired Cuba, they cross and put the Yucatan. Now, I know there's jungles here, but let's just say the United States can handle that just for the sake of this video. And yeah, we definitely have Mexico getting destroyed here. Oh yeah, in Canada, they don't last long, they're gone. And Mexico, they might as well be gone too. Now, in the peace treaty, we have the United States completely annexing Canada, buying Greenland, and taking, like, over half of Mexico. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that they take the Yucatan Peninsula as well? Also, there's one more major aspect to this, and that is colonies. Most of the world already has colonies. Most of the world still has colonies, like Britain and France. So the United States says, hey, we want some colonies, mainly in Africa. So they go up there, Mauritania, Mali, Senegal, the Gambia, yeah, and Western Sahara. Morocco wants to get involved in this, but they decline, saying that they say no, they don't join, because that would just be blood. And considering how the United States Navy is the best in the world, they can just take this with ease. They take all the Gambia, and eventually push down into Mali. They eventually push into these African countries without their consent. And then they stop at the Ivory Coast, where they make peace with them. Mauritania loses access to the coast, so does Western Sahara, and after a sweet more push in, both of these countries surrender. Maybe like, why did they just attack neutral countries? Well, because I wanted them to, stupid. Now, the United States just took a big portion of Africa here, and they are really power hungry, they want more. But they have a problem with that, as a lot of other countries don't like this new American empire forming up, so they decide to form an anti-American alliance. Now, we basically have Western Europe, all of whatever is left of the Americas, and some parts of Africa joining in. to protect themselves. But yeah, this doesn't persuade the United States at all because they just go out somewhere else. Actually, they will go out somewhere else after they will go out, you know. I mean, they would just gain control over the Philippines. We don't really need to map it out, considering how the United States has the best navy in the world right now. I mean, they had the best navy anyway, but, you know. So we can just safely assume that, you know, the Philippines would get annexed into the United States. So, yeah. And now the United States decides it's time for all-out war. It says, man, we really love fighting the... Oh. Okay. Okay then. Okay then. So they declare war on the entire anti-American alliance, which... I'm not too sure if the U.S. would actually win this in real life. They wouldn't win this in real life if they had an empire, but let's just say they will for the sake of this, scenario, you know? For the sake of this scenario. Now, everyone did join when Mexico got declared war on, but Mexico originally thought it wasn't, you know, it wasn't real, but they just got they're getting murdered. Belize dies, Guatemala just dies soon after that. And then we have Mexico dying, and you may be like, but aren't some of these guys U.S. allies? Well, yeah, but they united to stop. El Salvador dies, then Honduras, and then Nicaragua is about to be next. They take all of the country. Costa Rica does not have a military. And they meet up at Panama, where they are stopped at the canal. Meanwhile, the U.S. forces already stationed inside of Africa go ahead and give the invasion to, you know, invade them. And then they invade them, take their coast, and after a wee bit more pushing into the north, we have all... these countries just die. They just die. That's one less front they have to worry about, but yeah. The United States then realizes, hey, we can't get to Ireland and the UK from Greenland, so we're gonna have to invade Iceland. Iceland's like, bro, why? We're neutral. And then the United States just tells Iceland, when has neutrality ever worked? They're like, yeah, I guess. And they just die. After this, other countries start to like the idea and also dislike the idea. Now, Eastern Europe is a different story. The United States wants to convince Morocco to join so that they can add another front. But they don't want to, basically. They kind of don't want to, but they do. They do join. And then begin battles with Spain here, because Spain didn't really have an army up there anyway. And, yeah. After Queen Elizabeth's death and everything, the United Kingdom is in shambles right now, so the invasion of the U.S. is pretty much going to put the whole country into basically death. We have Scotland rebelling, Northern Ireland rebelling, Ireland just dies. Wales also begins to die, Cornwall, and eventually the entire British Isles are dead. Maybe like, well... that would be way more difficult in real life, and yeah, stupid. Of course it will. That's the whole point. But they can't get naval dominance over the channel, so they just are stuck there for now. Eventually, United States troops will land in Gibraltar. And yeah, now that there's United States troops on mainland Europe. That cannot be good that they're on mainland Europe. So we have more countries wanting to join as Italy joins. Italy and Algeria join the war. So, yeah. We have two relatively strong countries join the war. But let's just go over to here for a second. And, oh, the United States of Brandenburg through. And they invade the Darien Gap. Which, let's just say they cut off the Darien Gap, and let's just say it's under their control, basically. So now they're in South America. And, yeah, the United States, having their naval superiority over Venezuela, decides to just, you know, invade the country, because why would they not? It's literally a stupid idea not to invade. So they invade the coast of Venezuela and Colombia, which then connect with the original front. Then they invade Trinidad and Tobago, which then turns into Venezuela dying, having their coast being taken. And a bit more push, and then, yeah, this is all Sahara. Then we have either Guyana or Suriname, I forgot. They die as well. And then French Guiana then surrenders. So does all these guys, they all surrender. But with minor pushes being made into everything. But the United States is pushed back by the group over here. So they want to focus on Africa a little bit more because they still haven't kicked out all of Africa. Oopsie, Algeria just got smacked. Smacked really difficultly, actually. And then now that the United States has leeway to the Mediterranean, they can send troops here freely and begin an invasion of Sardinia, which doesn't go well. They forgot naval dominance, and they tried getting naval dominance, but they failed. Meanwhile, the first U.S. troops cross into Portugal, which then a U.S. landing near Lisbon captures the capital after encircling it. After this, Portugal surrenders, but is quickly pushed into by Spain. And then they take these islands right here from Spain, and then Sardinia is captured, as well as Corsica. Now, you may be like, the United States has this in the bag, obviously, and they do, because I'm making them win. And let's just skip ahead in the entire war for South America real quick. So, yeah, with that, we just have the entirety, we just have most of the South American countries just leaving. Or, like, all the South American countries leaving the war, because they're like, aw, hell nah, we ain't getting into this shit. They say, aw, nah, bye. And then most of them leave. Besides the ones that are already practically captured, like, you know. Like, boom and boom, you know. So let's just say the entirety of South America is under their control. Boom. Easy. Because they all make peace. And now the United States can only focus on Europe, which, you know, they make a landing in the Netherlands instead of France because they decided it was easier. And after that, Europe falls into shambles, or Western Europe falls into a bit of a shamble because they're like, oh no, we getting invaded. And especially because these guys are really flat, they don't have much the area to defend. They quickly move across, capture some coastal regions of France as well. But they're stopped near Paris. They do capture all of the Rhine River, not all of the Rhine, but the Rhine that consists of the countries that are in it. And then Sicily gets invaded, as well as mainland Italy. And then for the first time in a world war, Italy does not switch sides, but instead just dies. They are forced to stop at the, you know, but Germany is, you know, not here. Germany is just cut off from everything. So they're like, hey, can we get some help to try pushing them back? Poland says, hey, we'll help you. No. We'll help you lose, stupid. Like, Poland, why? What did I ever do to you? Poland just says, really, bro? And they're like, yeah, that's probably fair. With Poland and American troops pushing in, the only region that's left is Bavaria, which then just surrenders. Meanwhile, this front moves rather quickly now that France is dying. Galicia then falls. 2 spearheads towards Madrid capture the city while encircling a huge amount of troops, which then die. And then they then stop. They then are forced to stop at the French area mountains, at the area surrounding France. So France is guarded on 2 sides, but this side, no, not really. Brittany then falls. And then Paris is like right there. So yeah, they're like right outside the gates, kind of. They push in, and they eventually take the city. Which after that, France does not want to fight as much as we think they do. They don't surrender per se, but they do they die. They surrender. And that is every single country gone. So let's just take a look at this massive peace treaty here. And looking at a peace treaty here, yikes. Yeah, that's... yeesh. Okay, so, yeah, we have the entirety of North America being annexed by, by the USA. Except for the Darien Gap, which does go to, puppet, Colombia. And puppet Venezuela, which both of these, have border disputes for some reason. And then Africa, all of these guys are annexed. And there's some land gained by here in Morocco. Now, Morocco didn't gain anything from Spain except for their little exclave and enclaves here because they don't really hate Spain all that much. And of course, Iceland is annexed. Britain and Ireland are also puppeted. But except Northern Ireland does go to Ireland. So yeah, and so I'm going to show the states real quick. Now, looking at the states of the empire, it's really not that hard. We have the main USA here, which is just basically the entire USA, US states, which is just the 50 states, plus Baja California, and then Florida and a lot of stuff. Then have the Ontario state, the Quebec state, the Vancouver state, and then just Upper Canada state, which is basically just all useless. We have the Greenland state, the Iceland state, the Scotland puppet, the England puppet, the Ireland puppet, the Wales Portugal puppet, the Colombia puppet, the Venezuelan puppet. Then we got East Panama and West Panama, which West Panama is obviously the more, resourceful one and everything. Because it has the Panama Canal, and this one might these two might unite soon anyway. We got the Central American state, which is the most unstable, the Mexican state, the Yucatan state, Cuban state, and then we got the Caribbean state. The reason why Cuba wasn't included because it had died. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video.